All right. So I'm just going to call this meeting to order. Let's start with the roll call. Stan Watman, Board President.
Nick Unkovic.
Matthew Rindolick.
Madeline Aceta.
Jill Serrata.
Eleanor Mackin.
Adam Spies.
Okay, so I've confirmed we do have a forum. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to read our mission statement. The mission of ECS is to educate each student to high academic standards using innovative curricula that will foster knowledge, love of, and respect for the environment and preserve it for future generations. We grow citizens. Our vision is that every ECS graduate will be an actively engaged citizen driving thoughtful change in the world around them. I'd just like to recognize all of our guests, but in particular Lisa Augustine, who is here today. Thank you for coming. But as well as I know we have a number of people who are on the list to speak. Just before we move to public comment, just because we do have three speakers on the list and obviously a number of people here, just wanted to quickly kind of run through, just in the interest of time and to make sure that since we have a lot on our agenda, to make sure that we're staying on task. Just kind of the general ground rules. 3 minutes per speaker is basically what we aim for, just to keep us again on schedule. And obviously only speakers who have signed up ahead of time are able to speak. You should please kindly direct comments to the chair, who's me, and the board won't be responding to public comment. May ask some clarifying questions, etc. But the purpose of our role here is to be listening and to be taking these public comments so that we can consider them. So just want to make sure everybody is aware of sort of the procedure. With that, I guess we'll start with our first speaker. I have Hannah Berg. Hi, Hannah.
I'm probably also going to read it because this is not the union statement, this is for high school, right? I'll read the union statement in a minute. But the high school staff was having a lot of concerns surrounding the recent departure of Dr. Looper, so we wrote a letter and would like to present it to the board. I'm actually going to have my coworker, Ms. McGowan, read it. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Hannah.
Dear members of the board, Dr. Gallup and Dr. Bridge, we are writing to you on behalf of the high school staff to express our concerns regarding the recent departure of our principal, Dr. Looper. This decision has had significant impact on our school community, particularly on student learning and staff morale. Firstly, the abrupt transition in leadership has created an environment of uncertainty among both staff and students. While we appreciate what our current principals are doing to support us, we want to acknowledge how having 5 principals in 5 years at the high school has caused inconsistencies in key issues like curriculum, discipline, and school culture. Many educators have reported concerns about the impact this has on communication and support, which is critical for fostering a positive learning environment. Furthermore, we must address the implications surrounding the loss of a principal of color. This situation brings to the forefront essential discussions about equity and representation within our district. We believe it is crucial to consider how this decision might affect parent and community trust, particularly among families who value diversity and inclusivity in leadership roles. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that every student sees themselves represented in our school's leadership. In light of these concerns, we strongly urge the board to prioritize the hiring of a new principal who embodies our school's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is vital that our new leader not only reflects the rich diversity of our student body, but also possesses a deep understanding of our community. This alignment will be instrumental in restoring trust and morale among staff and students alike. We also want to prioritize consistency and support for the future administrators during this transition and in the ongoing years. We do not think the problem is the 5 talented individuals who have taken on the challenge of being a high school principal at a new school, but a system that has failed to support their success. We appreciate your attention to these urgent matters and look forward to working together to find a solution that supports our school's mission and the needs of our students and staff. Sincerely, Environmental Charter High School staff.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Is it possible to add a thought of my own on top?
Go ahead.
So that letter mentions that the new hire must possess a deep understanding of our community, and Dr. Leeper knew our community better than any administrator has so far, and we won't get that easily in the new hire. And so my personal thoughts on it are that if you are responsible at all for this hiring process, that you understand what the high school is right now and not what the high school is imagined to be. And the people who are the continuity in this situation to listen to are the students, the staff, the teachers, the people who have been there through turnover after turnover. So some listening and conversation as well.
I'd just like to ask a clarifying question. Can you clarify who that statement was from?
The letter was from the high school union.
I wrote the letter, or we wrote it as a high school, and we have to share.
Thank you. Very good question. And please, give the letter, I guess, to Tanya, and we can have it entered into the minutes. Thank you. The next speaker on my list is to recognize Dr. Lisa Franklin Robinson.
Good evening. My comments might be a little over 2 minutes, but I would ask you to indulge me as an elected official of North Braddock who has some of your students who live in my district. I am Dr. Lisa Franklin Robinson, President of North Braddock Borough Council, Commissioner of the Eastern Regional Mon Valley Police Department, and Executive Director of the Mon Metro Chamber of Commerce. However, I did not come here as such. I am before you as the mother of Dr. Adriana Leeper, the principal that was unjustly fired on October 1st, 2024 for not producing a principal certification. Adriana began her career in 2016. She advanced quickly from a part-time special ed teacher to a full-time special ed teacher, on to an ELA teacher, team lead, teacher leader, and then landed Associate Director of Curriculum and Professional Development. She also served as a part of the ECSFT negotiating team and was acting in aiding both the union and the ECS administration in passing through the district's first contract. These were the positions for which she applied. She loved teaching, coaching, and hosting professional development. In the summer of 2022, Adriana was asked to serve as the assistant principal of the high school. She just finished a doctoral program at UPIP with honors, and understood that accepting the position meant accepting a return to school. She said yes, and began her principal certification process at Carlow University in August of 2022. All courses were completed. The certification test was taken, and submission to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania was made by June of 2024. She kept ECS administration aware of her process. She did all of this while transforming ECS High School. I sit on several boards, and I know that a board is only as effective as its ability to engage with the community and inquire of its administration. So I'm going to pose a few questions for you to think about. Why would the ECS administration, specifically Dr. Cribbs and Dr. Doyle, ask Dr. Leeper to take on 2 positions for which she was not fully credentialed, walk with her for 2 years while she was actively in process, received notice that she passed her principal exam in May, received documentation proving that she had applied to the state and the state had received her certification paperwork, only then to terminate her? Why would this administration, who asked and encouraged her to take this position, present her with a contract while on maternity leave, mandating that she produce her certification by October 1st during the initial length of her MAT leave, and then fire her the morning of October 1st, as offering her $24,000 and an agreement to be silent. At 8:30 a.m., after receiving verification that the state had in fact everything they needed to process her application. Why would ECS move to terminate her after noticing that they received this verification and acknowledged that she had done all she could do on her end to make sure the certification came through? Why would they ask her to remove herself from a stable position, one of which she trusted that they would see her through once she offered herself to those two other positions that were built with built-in instability because she needed to be credentialed, knowing that she lacked certification? Then, when certification is in process, set up a scenario of termination. You need not speculate too long. I can offer a perhaps why this happened. Because the firing was personal, and its basis is built on a few things. Number one, Dr. Leeper's knowledge and involvement with the circumstances surrounding Principal Bishop Shelley's termination. Specifically, Dr. Leeper's knowledge of Dr. Cribb's insufficient investigation around Principal Bishop Shelley, taking a black female student to Planned Parenthood to obtain an IUD without parental knowledge or consent, and then moved to sweep it under the rug in order to maintain Bishop Shelley's employment. Dr. Cribbs was able to keep this to herself until the students' parents became aware of this, conducted their own investigation, and then brought it to the board themselves. Dr. Cribbs would then lie further by stating an investigation was conducted as thoroughly as possible, given that the person who reported Principal Bishop Shelley left the names of the student and those involved anonymous, so she could not, in fact, interview the student or teacher. I will note here that Dr. Leeper is, in fact, the very person who reported this incident to Dr. Cribbs.
I'm sorry, I have to ask you to just give us one more minute, please.
I'm asking you to indulge me. You took your administration has taken the livelihood of my daughter, and I think you need to hear me out.
One more minute, please.
You're doing great.
Dr. Leeper is, in fact, the very person who reported the incident to Dr. Cribbs and Dr. Doyle. Nothing was anonymous in that detailed report. Dr. Leeper and other black professionals, number two reason, in the district last year began speaking more loudly about the treatment of black staff in this district and advocating for true equity and anti-racist education for all students, specifically black and brown students. She openly reported to the HR director regarding an unsafe and hostile work environment on behalf of herself and other black staff in her building. Dr. Cribbs was aware of this, as the HR director would make her aware of the confidential complaints. Number three, Dr. Leeper advocated far too loudly for her students last year, seeking a far better senior trip and a prom, experiencing, to note a few examples, deserving of an inaugural senior class while receiving pushback. For example, she received great pushback when it came to the vendors she sought to hire. I'll note here that all the vendors were black. There can be no refuting her claim that this district is unsafe and hostile for black leaders and staff members. Just look who left and who now remains. Where have the majority of them gone? Why are there so many black staff leaving this district? Dr. Doyle is no longer employed with ECS, leaving shortly after the inadequately run investigation led by Dr. Cribbs. Do you think that was a coincidence? In the last year alone, 4 black, highly educated, and influential female leaders have left this district. 3 quit on their own terms, and 1 was unjustly fired. Dr. Leeper was fired on a technicality. I am not just here to give voice to that fact and shed light on this moment in time, as well as shed light on the racism problem you all have. The board must tend to sooner rather than later. I am here to call for the immediate termination of Dr. Amanda Cribbs. She has lied to the board before, and she will do it again. Superintendent should leave their school district with integrity, keeping all their students and staff
Other speakers' time.
They watched the investigation of Principal Bishop Shelley, and the ultimate termination of Dr. Leeper demonstrates, in my opinion, she is here for one thing and one thing only, to see her misguided, dangerous agenda through to fruition at all times. Revealing now that she will go to great lengths to remove those who are a threat to that agenda.
ask you to
definitely
be.
in order, and you can have that.
Thank you. You're out of order, any more disruption, I'm gonna ask you to leave.
I'm going to order you now.
Doesn't look like it.
Unneeded. That was unnecessary.
We have one more speaker, and unfortunately, we have to move very quickly, so I'd like to try to keep within the 3 minutes that I've asked for. Bridget Purdue, board recognizes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bridget Purdue. I worked at ECS for about 6 years, just about. I just want to name a couple of names in this space. Michelle King, Mark Williams, Cynthia Gilmore, Dr. Virginia Hill, and Dr. Adriana Lieber. You mentioned others. There are others to this space. I'm going to read a couple of things. Dr. Jeff Weston, music teacher here, says that throughout her tenure, Dr. Lieber has fostered strong relationships with students, staff, and guardians, creating an atmosphere of trust and collaboration. Her commitment to open communication and active engagement has significantly impacted our school culture. She has consistently prioritized our students and their families' needs and voices, strengthening our community. The sudden termination of a beloved pillar of our school community raises essential questions about how staffing decisions are applied equitably, justly, and without harm. One of her most notable achievements was guiding her first graduating class to near perfect graduation. This remarkable accomplishment is a testament to her dedication to academic excellence and her ability to inspire students to reach their full potential. She has made and recruited an historic number of incoming 8th graders from the middle school without even having her in the room. They've already said, if she's there, I want to be there. Parents have called me confused, trying to figure out why they only came there because they knew that Dr. Lieber was going to be there, not understanding why she was there. One other thing that Jeff says is that our high school community proudly says every morning meeting, because of Dr. Lieber, what I don't know, I will learn. All I need is already within me. I will not waste this day. The second thing that I want to share is that the email from home office announcing a change in leadership suggests that Bree may have chosen to leave ECS on her own terms, which is not the case. I've had several colleagues ask me, oh, I thought she was moving on, I thought she was doing X, Y, Z. Not true. She was hurt. A lot of people have been very surprised about that. Again, as a union rep, we work tirelessly to secure benefits for other people, and now she's in a space where she's in a space of harm because she's not being what's the word? I'm sorry. She's not a union. She's not part of the union. The last thing that I want to share is that a teacher said that she just learned of the actual circumstances today, and she's appalled that a devoted ECS employee and parent has been subjected to this. Single mother of 4, coming back from maternity leave, leaving her baby for 10 hours a day, leaving her only to come back to be fired. It's cruel. It's cruel. It's not right. It's not fair. The questions that were raised, there need to be answers. There's a lot of confusion here. You can tell by teachers. You can tell by the tears. You can tell by the emotion in the room. Things have to be answered to. She is an amazing, brilliant woman. Who was certified October 1st. Who was certified October 1st. She just didn't know. She just didn't know.
Thank
But
you.
home office knew.
Thank
They
you.
did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we'll move to the next item on our agenda. Celebration. That's what it looks like. Okay. Skip celebration. Mission moment.
So, I don't have a large report this evening. I will just simply state that I shared with you guys earlier today a set of 4 draft policies. This goes to the discussion that we had at the end of the last board meeting. So I shared 4 draft policies. These are just in draft form. They're not officially ready for the board 2-meeting cycle process. But consider these advanced readings. So we're working on those 4. We're waiting legal review. And we'll get those to you officially in the next couple of weeks. And we're working on 4 additional policies that we'll get for you in November in a regular cycle. So think, just in advance, there'll be about 8 policies coming for the November meeting. So if you have thoughts, comments, editorial suggestions on those before we actually finalize them as a draft and present them for public view and presentation and consideration and comments, please feel free to send them those in the next couple of days. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Griggs, who's going to share a little bit about some of the curricular work that's been going on in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you an update on some curricular moves, specifically around literacy and math. She works strategic framework priority for human family engagement. So a lot of you knew that last year we began the process of developing and implementing a comprehensive literacy plan. So that was a change to the structured literacy. We changed our curricular, refined units, provided training to the admin, and also teachers. So we began the comprehensive learning plan process. This year, we're piloting a new curricular resource in 6th grade. We have a team that's gathered all of the data, thinking about what resources we might need and what interventions we have in the future. And what we're noticing is that the structured literacy is really kind of a more explicit form of teaching. We still want to foster the love of books, do authentic learning experiences with our students. And so rather than doing you go either or, we're going to do both and involve our parents. And one of the ways that we do that is with our curricular nights. And so rather than just standing and delivering things it out to the curriculum to families, we changed our 3-5 and did a little bit of a different example there. And it's called the Night for the Books. And Vicky's actually going to talk a little bit about it. And we have a one-pager for you. So it was a way to explain the curriculum to families in kind of a nice way, but also help them get engaged. So we got a local author and illustrator from the data. So Vicky, take it from here.
I always offer a one-pager so you can read through it on your own if you want, but some of the points here is around to try to unpack the event. So I think when we have events, we often just, have the event and then we move on, but I think there's a lot of behind the scenes work that was involved with this. So you'll see how it was connected to the strategic framework. I think the main piece here to note is we were really intentional about having the intention of the why of the event and moving from more of the transactional events, more traditional ways of interacting with families to inviting them into a purposeful experience where they could actually play games with students and teachers, actually listen to these nationally award-winning author and illustrator present about identity and belonging and how that shows up in curriculum and books. And so our partnership with Riverstone was also as a women-owned local business, and we also were educating the community around why we choose that over scholastic, and that I think also shows how the why behind partnerships and how we're really intentional about partnerships as well. And so read through on your own. I know it's always have a long night and I could talk for days. So that's why I give you the one pager for you to take a look. But we're trying to, for next steps, think about how we can debrief, how we can invite more community feedback about accessibility and inclusivity. There was really good feedback that night around how we can ask questions to communities about what was missing and how to feel more connected and how to make it more accessible. And then I think just even also understanding how we can use that as a model for other events, and then how to transfer that ownership so that our building leaders and our academic leadership can also then use. Any questions? So some of the data points are at the top more of the data.
So the next thing that comes is our fall festival, which are K2 literacy component to it. So there'll be book walks through the garden and every 30 minutes stories that's read aloud to students in the garden. And then in the spring, we're hoping to bring math curriculum to students.
That's all we have.
Now we'll move to the consent agenda. Chance to review. Any questions or comments?
you have to speak to any, particularly in section 7.4.
Any questions? Should we vote then? Seth? Yeah. We have a resolution 2024-10-2133. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the school that the consent agenda for October 16, 2024 be approved. Do I have a motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So other business, I don't have an executive committee report today. I don't know, Dave isn't here. Does anyone from the governance committee have anything to report? Okay, so not, education committee report?
Yes, so, okay. This is going to be kind of a tag team effort here. And so the Education Committee met a week and a half ago, and we had a couple of main agenda items. And I'll just run through those main agenda items, and then we'll add some color to some of them. So we discussed retention efforts, we discussed graduation pathways, and we talked about the connection between absenteeism and student engagement. And then we also Mandy announced that there's going to be a PPS drop-in audit on October 22nd. And so if there's more questions around that, we can ask that too. But to come back to the first agenda item, there were a lot of updates regarding the retention. And this is something that in September we said we would get more information about in October. And so I'll turn it over to Mandy. Patrick.
We have a team that's working on trying to do some pilot retention effort on fifth to sixth grade transition. So in that group is myself, Patrick, and Vicky, and then Nick and Laura are two administrators on fifth grade and sixth grade. We also have our counselors, this big person takes us from the parent engagement, the apps, and enrollment, and so we have lots of heads at the table trying to figure out what are some of the things that we can do to actively try to recruit our sixth grade. So we have our principal, our sixth grade principal, going out to the intermediate school and talk to some students. They'll bring some teachers down too. So Dave stay healthy and robotics, so we can get that information to our teachers early about what that sixth grade looks like. We also have invited our fifth grade teachers to observe in our sixth grade classrooms so that they can help parents understand what does that sixth grade really look like. So we're trying to build as many of those connections as we can between teachers, between admin, and also then
We're currently hovering around 71. So we're retaining the vast majority of the number. Now, just seeking the sixth grade teachers to join the event for showcase night and early fails down to the same division.
I think something else you shared that was rather exciting is the survey that 72 families were tied to. I'm sure
We
more.
had a survey for the first time 72 families out of the who were actually responding to the survey, which was really great. So we have a lot of data from that that we can use to make efforts to do better.
One of the interesting hypotheses that we started off with when we did the survey was that many families don't have enough information about what's happening. So we did the survey and asked them, and a very large percentage, like 60%, wrote back and said, we could use some more information. It really is, in part, there's probably other things, but we can sort of nail the communications component that would help in some ways, and then there are other things we have to sort of get a better idea of what sort of target information parents might need. What sort of information are looking for so we can better target our
And then, I don't know if this happened yet, but it will happen, I suppose, at conferences, teachers going to specifically talk to them about it.
Yeah.
So bring it up early.
Yeah, conferences are not yet, so that'll happen. And so at the end of the conference, we'll have our fifth grade teachers who are asking our questions and continue on in sixth grade. And then if not, we can provide some more information. We might be able to get a little bit more.
And then graduation pathways. We have an update even since our meeting.
Yeah, so since our meeting, we have 76% of our students now,
Fifth grade, if y'all spoke a little louder, because it's really hard to hear. Tiny URL, support Leaper.
Excuse me.
tinyurl.com, support Leaper. Have a great night, bye.
So 76% of our students are meeting those keystone proficiencies. We have our Jennifer, who is our college and career counselor, and Steve Folk, who's our counselor at the high school, have met with each of our seniors so they understand where they are in the pathways, and then how they can get even further along than they are. We are actively getting our college IEP came different colleges to come to our school to help talk to kids too, so that we can know that they want to connect. Very exciting.
And then you shared a lot about the different pathways too as well.
It's very complicated to know like where you are in the pathways, but that's why we wanted to be one-on-one with all the students so that they can tell if I pass all my keystones, it's in the pathway, if I have positive scores. There's alternative assessments that they can do, and then different kind of ways that they can have a whole package. And that might be starting, it might be a certification. Actually today, we have the SAT and an SAT test for our 11th graders. And while they were taking the test for 9th graders at Camp Guyasuda, and our seniors were taking their CPR certifications. Lots of things.
And then the absenteeism and student engagement is just, the more engaged they are, the less likely we'll be having absentee. And when you do, there's multiple ways of reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dwight Hoffman has been keeping us updated on all of the absenteeism rates, and we are seeing an improvement based on increased engagement. So that's what our KM is supposed to do too, is to watch that in middle school, so we'll see if that actually does come
Thanks for your help. We're complete.
Great. Well, thank you. So, do we have a Finance and Facilities Committee report today?
Rohit said he was running late. I think the only thing of note really is we've completed the audit, right, Michelle?
Yeah.
So that's less engaging, but nevertheless important. That's the key thing. I think we'll discuss real estate and executive. So,
The rest of our agenda was consent agenda already.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll move to the ECSFP representative report. I think, Hannah, you said you had something to share.
Yes. So we changed a little bit the format of our board statements. I feel like it's becoming repetitive. Instead, we thought it would be helpful to write some feedback from each of the schools for board statements. I'm calling it a hot shop talk. So at primary, members brought concerns that they're at capacity of space, and would invite board members to come spend the day to the field for those issues and possibly help bring some solutions. At intermediate, there's a specific issue with a change to a safe snacking list, which has had the impact of creating a wasteful shift to plastic and disposable goodie bags for birthdays instead of the opportunity to bring in sustainable food options. So they were looking to think through how to maybe get parents about that, because it's not really in line with the mission to have those wasteful plastic gifts. At middle, requirements for coverage from the parent teachers as market correlated increases in administration, requesting no further follow-ups, which feels a lot like a blackout day. And then high school staff have ongoing concerns related to improvements in admin turnover and lack of support and transparency for our admin as we tonight. Similarly to middle, we are also struggling with coverage. We are also struggling with coverage and the impact this is having on prep time. Although we are hoping that there's some moving forward with hybrid building some of that
Great, thank you. And I believe we had a PCO report, which email, which I will read, which is that we held our first PCO meeting of the school year on October 4th. Thank you to Patrick Dowd for being our guest. We had a great conversation centered on the high school fundraising and much more. Our next meeting will be virtually on Friday, November 1st, when our guest will be Athletic Director Rob Van Diemen. Coming up on Friday, October 25th, from 5 to 7 at the intermediate school is the Fall Festival and K2 Literacy Night. There will be face painting, bake sale, pizza and cider to benefit the athletic department, scavenger hunt, uniform resale, games, crafts, meet the park rangers, live music and more. It's a lot of stuff. We hope to see everyone there. We'll be partnering with Allegheny Cleanways to become great keepers. This fun family-friendly partnership kicks off on November 3rd. Look for more information on how families can be involved. So that's the end of the PCO report. Do we have any other business before we go into executive session? Else? Okay, so now we're going to be entering executive session, so I'm going to have to ask.
I'm suggesting we be going.
Okay, all right, terrific. So that's the end of our meeting tonight, our open public meeting. We'll go down. Motion to go into executive session, second, all in favor?
I'm like, oh no, I'm waiting. But, oh.
You're trying to be polite, and now you're getting.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll just shove it in. It's fine.
Grab water if you want to bring it.